We are at week 4 of our Fruits of the Spirit conversations and devotionals. And you might think that my background looks pretty weird, but I promise there's a good explanation. So let's talk about love and let's talk about difficult relationships and how we handle difficult relationships and times in our relationships. We all have difficult times, no matter what relationship, whether it's a parent and child, a friend relationship, a family relationship, a spouse relationship. We all have some difficult times. And the question is, do we handle our difficult times with love? One of the fruits of the Spirit is love. And how do we do? How do you do? Last week, we talked about God's love being at the base and the core of everything that we do. And being more like a reflection of Christ means that we show love. So, how do you naturally respond in the tension of a relationship? Are you passive? Are you aggressive? Are you a little bit of both, passive and aggressive? And where does love come in? If you remember correctly, I get a lot of my information from this devotional from fruitfultoday.com. And within that was something from Joyce Meyer. And I really like Joyce Meyer. And the person that wrote this blog said, I heard once Joyce Meyer speaking on First Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 7. Now, let me tell you what that says first, and then I will tell you what she said. First Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 7 says, Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices whenever the truth wins out. Love never gives up. This writer said that as he listened to Joyce Meyer, what struck him was she said in her empathetic way that she does, love is not easily offended. Are you easily offended sometimes? I know that I am. And this also really struck me. Love is not easily offended. God is not easily offended when we turn away from him. He loves us unconditionally, regardless of what our actions say and do, and how we talk about him or don't, how we invest time in the relationship with him or not. God loves us unconditionally and is not easily offended. The reason these glasses come into play, there was a pastor that gave a demonstration, and one glass was full, like what you see here, and the other one didn't have very much water in it. And there was a lady that took the glass that did not have much water in it and then walked away. The pastor continued to hold the glass that had a lot of water in it. Well, sure enough, the lady comes back to the pastor and accidentally bumps into him. And the water that he has, because the glass is so full, spills all over him. But the glass that the lady was holding kind of sloshed around, but nothing spilled out. Now, I want you to look at that glass of full water as bitterness, as anger, as things that we carry around, the tension that we carry around that is not of God, that we speak mean words or things that are not love, not fruits of the Spirit. And when we get a little bump in our lives, All of that tension and bitterness spills all over the place, all over us and others. However, the lady that was carrying the glass of water that only had a little bit in it, what if there was a little bit of normal emotion that happens because we are human and broken, in reference of irritation and bitterness and resentment, but most of our souls are filled with love for others, so that when there is a bump in the road, when something is irritating, okay, it doesn't spill over. It doesn't spill over in and get all over us, the bitterness and the resentment, and it doesn't get all over others. Rather, a little bump, there's room to explore talking to others in a loving and kind way, because we're not filled up with things that are not fruit of the Spirit. So I want to finish with a poem that is called My Glass Slowly Drains. Heart full to the brim, I come to his throne and pour it all out to him. The sense of injustice, self pity, and fears, anger, resentment, grief, and pain, I come in tears, again and again, to the one who always hears. And God takes it all. My glass slowly drains, empty, depleted. There I remain at God's great throne of grace. And God gives me his all. In response to my sorrows, he points me to Jesus, sitting at his right hand and exalted to the highest place. Once lowly, once meek, and familiar with grief, but now risen from the grave, in Jesus I get what my heart craves: empathy. Emmanuel, God with us, my comforter, my peace. In his presence, my joy is complete. Like branches suck up from the vine, suck up life from the vine, I soak up the Father's great love. Then slowly, very slowly, God's own heart starts to transform mine. That is by Christy Johnston. So I invite you to sit at the foot of the cross this week, and to, like the branches that suck up life from the vine, I soak up the Father's great love. I invite you to soak up the Father's great love this week and watch as God's own heart starts to transform yours. Remember, you are loved by God. God resides within you. His love is at the root of your soul. God bless. Have a great week. See you next week.